Pokebabs! Hey guys, finally another welcome back to Pokebabs. It's been a while, and a lot of stuff has been going on with me, but we are looking at a deck here today that is one of my favorite decks, actually, that I've ever played. It's an expanded deck, as you can see, and it's based around a few Pokemon. So the main attacker, there's actually two main attackers, so we'll go with the attacker that is sometimes the most useful one, which is Seismitoad-EX. So we're only going to be playing two of them, and it does have 180 HP, which is great. The Quaking Punch attack is, of course, what makes this Pokemon so strong. 30, and then your opponent can't play item cards for single double colorless. Then the second attacker we've got is this Manectric-EX, and we actually play a heavier amount of the Manectric. We play a 3 count of Manectric-EX. I actually think both attacks are quite good. The Overrun attack, 20 damage, and then 20 to a bench, which is useful in a deck where you're going to be hitting the bench a lot. And then Assault Laser doing 60, and then 60 if your opponent has a Pokemon tool attached, which is actually very, very common. And so I think this attack has actually been really overlooked for the most part. Most people just play Manectric to play Mega Manectric, but Assault Laser is a very good attack. And with the right tools attached and the right Pokemon in play, you can get this to hit one-hit knockouts. And I'll show you how as we go along. And then the main other line we have here is this Crobat line. Now, most people a lot of times will play a 4-2 or a 4-3-2 line of Crobat, but I've played this 3-3-3 line for a long time, and I like it. I think it's preferable. I would love to have 4 Zubats, especially with this Free Flight Zubat, where it has the ability here that if it has no energy attached, it has free retreat. And then, of course, the Golbat and Crobat both have free retreat, so you essentially have a bunch of free retreaters, which is great. But I love having this 3 count of the Crobat, and that's actually because I think the Skill Dive attack is fairly strong. So that's the reason for that. We do have this Skill Dive. Does only 30, but with a Muscle Band, if you're hitting the active, and their Psychic Weak, you can hit 100. So it seems like it might not happen that much, but it does happen. And of course, we've got the Sneaky Bite, put 2 damage counters, and then we have the Surprise Bite, 3 damage counters. Now, a fairly light Pokemon draw support. We only have 1 Shaymin-EX, and then we also have 1 Jirachi-EX. Both very important. The Jirachi is most important for getting that turn 1 Ghetsis out, which can be really devastating to a lot of decks in Expanded. So there's a lot of item-based decks, obviously. Now, we've also got an interesting A-Spec choice here. I like to play the Scoop Up Cyclone. Originally, I played it just because it was what I thought would be the best that I had at the time. But I actually have decided that I really do like it, and I think it's very, very strong. Along with that, we're playing 4 Super Scoop Ups. So the Scoop Up Cyclone basically a Super Scoop Up where you don't have to flip a coin, and that could come in clutch in a lot of situations. So essentially 5 ways to pick up Pokemon with items. We also have 1 AZ to pick up Pokemon, which can be specifically good to pick up Crobat, but it could also be good to pick up a Shaymin, Jirachi, or something else as well. Now, I used to play a Level Ball. Now I'm playing Pokemon Communication instead, just because there's a fairly high amount of Pokemon with all those bats. Being able to get the right bat at the right time, or maybe getting a Shaymin, and not having an Ultra Ball, not wanting to discard things. So I think Pokemon Communication is very strong in this deck. We also have 4 Ultra Ball. Again, just helpful to help you get that Jirachi or a Shaymin, or maybe the Seismitoad, whatever you need. Usually you will draw into an Ultra Ball turn 1. We've got 1 Super Rod, Colress, just a strong supporter, Hex Maniac, 1 Lysandre. Would like to play 2. I've played 2 before in this deck, and it is strong. 3 N, 3 Sycamore, always good draw support. 1 Xerosic, very, very strong supporter in my opinion. And we're playing, actually I'm going to switch this out. So I've played with Parallel City, but I think Parallel City isn't the best for this deck. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch that out for a Silent Lab. And we'll switch that in for now. But to be honest with you, I think both are very good. I've played with Rough Seas in the past, but Silent Lab is what it is now. We've got 1 Fighting Fairy Belt, 2 Muscle Band, 3 Head Ringer. This is particularly good to help power up Assault Laser. And also, it can slow your opponent down. So 3 Headringer, also a very heavy count there, but something that I just prefer to have in this deck. Helps you get it on turn 1 in particular. And then we've got 4 double colorless and 5 lightning energy. So we're going to head into some games here. Hopefully you guys can see why I like this deck so much, and we'll see it in action. Alrighty, so we're heading into our first game here against A-Train 5687. Typings look a bit like Night March, and we'll see if that is the case. We do win the coin flip though, which is very helpful. If it is Night March, Ghetsis can be very strong. Obviously, Bats and Toad also very strong against Night March. So let's see what happens. We do mulligan here, which is not great, but we'll see what our opponent has. Maybe it'll actually allow us to draw more if we end up getting the turn 1 Ghetsis. And alright, so we start Zubat and Manectric. We'll start Zubat just because we got the free flight ability, and then I'll decide if I want to bench the Manectric or not. And we might actually use this Pokemon Communication to get the Jirachi. We do see a Shaymin, which doesn't tell us much. But like I said, I think that it's probably going to be Night March. And so let's see. For that reason, Manectric's not going to be as helpful. Seismitoad definitely much stronger. We're going to Pokemon Communication here. And this will do a couple things for us. We're going to get rid of that Manectric. We're going to grab the Jirachi if we have Ghetsis, which we do have Ghetsis in the deck, which is fantastic. And we'll do all that before we play anything else down, see what we draw off of the Ghetsis. But our opponent does have a 7-card hand, so it's possible that we'll get a lot out of this Ghetsis. And so we're going to play Ghetsis. And, okay, so they have an N. Okay, they've got draw support or their way out. They actually play Basic Lightning, so I'm not sure exactly what this deck is, but we do draw a lot of cards off of that. We do get a Headringer, which could be helpful. If they wanted to float stone that Shaymin. And, we could do a lot of things here. I think what I'm going to do, though, is just get the Seismitoad. We'll discard a Xerosic and a Sycamore. And we're just going to grab the Seismitoad. We only have 1 right now in the deck, so we have 1 prized. And unfortunately, we didn't get an energy attachment this turn, but I think it's okay to just do this. Muscle Band the Seismitoad, and I'll leave the Zubat. Could be a mistake, but I'm going to leave the Zubat. If it is Night March and we are going to get hit hard, I'd rather they knock out a Zubat than the Seismitoad. So we'll see what happens here, though. We do have the Scoop Up Cyclone in hand, although most likely we're going to end next turn. Then again, our opponent's most likely going to end us, which is the nice thing about that Ghetsis. So we do see that we don't need to end up discarding important cards because we know they're going to most likely end us. And we do end us into Energy, Golbat, Manectric. This is a pretty great hand. We actually see it's going to be a Mega Manectric deck, which they kind of showed us might be the case. And they've got Raikou as well. It's actually a fairly tough matchup, but I think what we're going to have to go for here is actually the Manectric. Well, let's see. I didn't really get much else out there, so that's a positive thing for us. So yeah, we could either go aggressive with the Manectric, or we could sit back with Seismitoad and just see if we can run them out of stuff. If they don't have if they can't play their items, they do only have a 2-card hand. Something tells me one's a supporter, but I'm gonna go for the Seismitoad option. It can be very, very strong. But that said, I will put down the Golbat and the Manectric, I mean. Raikou can be a pretty difficult Pokemon to knock out. So, let's see. I guess we'll do the Raikou. And we're just going to hold on to our hand here. The Crobat is great. The energy is great. I don't really want to discard them, and I definitely don't want to end my opponent at this point. With such a low hand size. So, we'll see. Hopefully they don't get a Rough Seas out. They do get a Rough Seas out, as I say that, of course. And let's see what else can happen here. That's all they have, though, which is definitely good for us. We'll touch Lightning. The Crobat is not as useful here, but we could take a knockout on the active. If we put the Crobat down. And that way we can play a supporter. Xerosic actually a very strong supporter here, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little bit slower. Yeah, we're going to play a little slower here. Get rid of their Spirit Link. And then, since we're Quaking Punching them, they can't attach another Spirit Link. And let's see. They didn't attach Energy last turn, so I'm actually going to be... Well, I'll wait. Because then this way I can knock out the Shaymin with the Crobat, take my prizes, force them to send something else up before we start attacking again. We got everything we need, really. I mean, we got Energy Attachment. And so we just see a pass from our opponent, which is huge. We got another Lightning Energy. This is great. We have a backup attacker now. Would be really good if we could get a Headringer on that Manectric-EX. And we're going to take 2 prizes here. Let's see what we can grab, an AZ and an Ultra Ball. So these are pretty good cards, especially since we're going to Sycamore. We see the Raikou come up active. We're going to Ultra Ball, discard AZ and N. And we're probably just going to grab a Zubat here. So it looks like we've got Crobat, 2 Golbat. So we've got most of the bat line. We have 1 Headringer left. We do have that Silent Lab, though, which would be nice to have. Because they are going to be healing a lot of damage with Rough Seas. And then eventually we won't be hitting them for any damage if they attach Lightning to the Raikou. Alright, so we do get a Headringer, which is great. We could actually Escape Rope. That might be a good play here. The question is, how are we ever going to knock out this Raikou, though? So I think maybe it's better to just Quaking Punch into the active. And we see a concession from our opponent, which is fantastic. You can see how strong it is, though. Your opponent can't do much. Let's just see what was in their deck. Oh, they were actually playing Electrode, interestingly enough. And Mega Manectric Raikou deck. So, interesting there. But you can see how strong our deck was against them. And that's even a matchup that I wouldn't consider to be all that favorable for us. So, we're going to go into another game here and see how we can stack up against some other decks. Alright, going into the second game. Going up against Husky 16, and this one looks like it is going to be Night March. I know I said I thought it would be Night March last time, but this one looks even more so because the grass could just be the Vespiquen. I'm not sure what else it would be, but there's definitely a lot of options in Expanded. We are going to go first, though, again, which is great. We can get that Ghetsis possibly turn 1. Starting with that Pokemon Communication again, which is strong. We'll start Seismitoad this time. And I won't mention anything else yet. Most likely going to Communication the Golbat. We actually see a Vileplume, so I was off. It looks like it's going to be a Vileplume box deck. And that should be interesting. They do Mulligan, though, which is great for us. Now, let's see. Ghetsis would definitely be strong against Vileplume deck. Let's see here. Now, and of course, their Jolteon is going to be strong against us. Looks like they're playing Prisms, though. And we do... Okay. So that wasn't much. That wasn't very exciting. I guess they just scooped against us for whatever reason. But we're going to go into another game here. And let's see what we're going up against. We're going up against Mega Cindy. And we see... Wow, that is interesting. Fire, Grass... Dragon Fighting, was that what it was? Not even... I have absolutely no idea what that could be. We aren't going to be going first, though. But that's something I like about this deck, is that when you go second, you actually, you know, you can get the first Quaking Punch off, which is fantastic. And obviously going first is very strong as well. Getting down bats and getting your... getting that Ghetsis. Oh, actually, they allow us to go first. Interesting. Okay, so we'll put Zubat, and we will see what they flip over. A Zygarde. Okay, so, yeah, I don't know what that means. But we're going to Ultra Ball. It could be a Vileplume Zygarde. I really don't know. Let's see if we have the Ghetsis in deck. We do. So we're going to go for the Jirachi for Ghetsis. Again, I can't stress really how much this can be a strong play. and we'll play the Ghetsis before looking at anything else. Our opponent has... Oh, okay. Ninja Boy. Interesting. Maybe it is some sort of Vileplume deck. That wasn't good for us, obviously, but we'll get the Seismitoad down. I think we're just going to Ultra Ball for a Shaymin. Keep the Fury Belt, and then that way we can get a clean Shaymin for 6, as well as getting a Fighting Fury Belt on our Seismitoad. And let's see what we can draw into here. Maybe a double Colorless. We do get that. We also get a Headringer, which is great. Which kind of makes us pretty safe in a few senses. And I do realize I could be playing myself into a... Well, yeah, I don't really want to play myself into a delinquent problem. It could happen. So I think we're just going to attach and pass. Always a little bit hesitant to attach a special energy on turn 1. But I think in this case, I'm feeling okay about it. We'll see, though. We do have a Sycamore next turn, though, if need be. We see the Blend Energy go on to... Oh, we see a Ninja Boy. As we knew they did have it in hand. I see a Ditto with Transform coming out. Okay. Wow, I do not know what to expect here. But doesn't really matter. Well, let's see. Actually, it does matter. If we had waited and put the Muscle Band down, we could get a knockout. Now we can't. But we're still really, really close to getting the knockout here. We'll do 20. We'll bench Manectric. We'll put a Muscle Band on it. We will versus Seeker. Oops, not Ghetsis. We'll grab a Sycamore. We will Sycamore. Maybe get a bat or 2. We do get a bat, which is great. Going to retreat for free into Seismitoad. We have also grabbed an energy. So we'll put that energy on Manectric, I guess. And we'll just Quaking Punch. So now our opponent can't play item cards, and all they have is a Ditto with 60 damage active. 10 HP left. So they could transform. I see another Ninja Boy. So actually kind of interesting to note that Ninja Boy ends up getting rid of the Headringer. We do see an Aegislash come active. Wow. That was actually a fairly strong play from our opponent. So what I might try to do here is get Hex Maniac. Interesting. So if we get the Super Scoop Up heads, we can get... Yeah, this is... Okay, so this is a strong play here from us. We're going to be able to... maybe I should have checked. I don't remember if there was the Hex Maniac in the deck. There is the Hex Maniac. Great. So we are going to be able to get through that Mighty Shield, which is great. Keep using Quaking Punch. We would have been Quaking Punching anyway, but this way we can Quaking Punch, do some damage, and then perhaps next turn we have an opportunity to win this game. We can Quaking Punch Hex Maniac, or we can grab a Crobat, then Hex Maniac, and then Quaking Punch for the knockout. So it looks like another sort of interesting box deck. We see okay, so we see the Lysandre from our opponent, and let's see if we can draw into an energy. We don't. Okay, so that changes things a bit. Let's see here. We do have outs to win this game. This turn, there are ways to win this game this turn. So I want to make those as high of a chance as possible. I think that means not playing the Super Rod. Just going to Ultra Ball for the Crobat. Let's see. Yeah, that seems good. So we can win with the Crobat this turn if we get some sort of way of getting the Jirachi out of the active, and then we can also get an energy on Crobat. That's the game plan right now. Yeah, that's the game plan. Kind of funky how that works out, but I think that's going to be the best option at this point. Also, a second Crobat would win us the game. And, okay, so I think that means we're good. We're just going to discard our ends, grab the Crobat, and I believe we can play the Crobat this turn. And I think that was a relatively easy win again. But as you can see, this deck is very strong. Getting the bats down consistently is very, very strong. And we do see the Scoop Up Cyclone was on our prizes. So 3 games and 3 wins for the deck there. Not exactly the kind of games I was expecting, but just shows the strength of the deck there. All right, we're going to go into a 4th game. I can hardly believe I'm saying it, against a fighting and colorless deck. So that could be a few things. Maybe Zygarde, maybe Garchomp. We do lose the coin flip. Hopefully it is Garchomp, because then that could mean we could... Oh, so we're going to start Manectric, which is not ideal against the fighting deck. Yeah, I don't think it would be Groudon. They would be playing Wobbuffet most likely. We'll see here. We do see a Gibble, so that is good for us in a sense, but our hand is pretty bad. Yeah, our hand is not good whatsoever, because we wanted to be able to get that turn 1 Seismitoad-EX knockout. Or not knockout, but just so that they can't play their rare candies. We do see a pass, so not much out of our opponent, and we don't have much to do either. I think we're just going to Lysandre and hope that they don't have like a Float Stone and a rare candy Garchomp, which all they really need is one of the items and a Karina. So that would be very bad. We do see a Flare Grunt. So I'd rather see Flare Grunt than see an Evo Soda. This is very interesting. Okay. We do see the Strong Energy go into the Gabite. We see a switch. Wow. So they're going to Sand Tomb us for 80. And that's not good. We can Xerosic. I think that's the best option. There's not a lot of good options right now. But we're just going to Overrun, and hopefully they can't knock us out next turn. But this is certainly not looking good for us at this point. See a Fan Club. Also not really what I was expecting, but if they have the Garchomp, most likely they will be able to win this game. See a Lucario and a Shaymin. See if they can play any more of their cards in their hand before playing Shaymin. They actually can't, so they're only going to draw 2. Did they get the Garchomp? Otherwise, a Sand Tomb was not enough for a knockout. We just see the attachment to Lucario and a Sand Tomb. So we did get bought another turn. We got a Seismitoad, and we got a Headringer. So now our Colress at least is for 5. Pretty weak, but okay, great. So now we can Quaking Punch. We can actually take a knockout. Oh, we can't retreat because of the... So we could still take a knockout, but then what happens? I think maybe we just want to Overrun this turn. Take a knockout that way. I think is the best option. It's not great, but it is something. We're going to attach to the Seismitoad, and then we're going to Overrun. We'll take a knockout on the active, and we will hit... I think we'll just hit this Lucario. Try and soften it up for a little bit later. And we did avoid the Garchomp, thankfully. We do see a Super Rod, which we might play to get back these energies here. As I assume we will get knocked out. Yes, we will see a Missile Jab. Which actually, yeah, it does still hit for weakness. So we will get knocked out here. And let's see what we can get here. Something like a Fury Belt would be good. We do have the DCE in hand. I think we could N. Or we could attach DCE and Sycamore. I think I'm going to Super Rod. Because getting energies back is good, obviously. Let's see. So I want to attach, yeah, I think N is a little bit better here, because we're going to be able to attack no matter what. And then maybe we can set up something else. Okay. It's a little bit of a sketchy play, but I think getting a Manectric setup is good, even against fighting deck. So we obviously won't go into it now. We're going to go into the Seismitoad, shut off our opponent's items. So we do hit him for 30 damage, Quaking Punch. They can't use items, and we just see the Missile Jab for 30, so that was very good. We get a Muscle Band, so we can hit for 50 now, which could make the math really nice. The other option is to... we could take a knockout on it with Manectric as well. But I'll attach the Muscle Band to the active, and then we will Sycamore. Maybe our opponent has a bunch of items in hand. Alright, so I was kind of hoping we get a Super Scoop Up. Or a Scoop Up Cyclone or something. But this will work for us, I think. Let's see. So we do 20. He's got 110 left, so we hit it for 50. Silent Lab. I'll wait to put down the Silent Lab for now. But generally things are looking quite good for us. Next turn we could get double Crobat. Double Crobat would be good to take the knockout. We see a Karina finally out of our opponent. Was expecting that earlier. And what can they grab here? Yeah. See, if they grab a Carbink, then Silent Lab would be nice. So I kind of want to hold off the Safeguard Carbink, that is. They do grab the Safeguard Carbink, so yeah, wanted to hold off on that Silent Lab in case they bump the stadium. We are just playing the one of. We actually see the retreat into Carbink. And our opponent opened up a huge hole for us. Okay, so... alright, there's so many options here. I'm tempted to do... let's see. We can pick up... do I just go for the knockout on the Carbink? 50... so I'm doing 50, 60, 70, 80. Not quite yet enough. Have to use both Crobats. So we'll put down Silent Lab. So like that. We are just shy of the knockout this way. I guess we'll play Ghetsis. Yeah, we'll play Ghetsis. See if we can get some cards. Yeah, we do get 4. We actually get an Escape Rope, which is interesting. But I think... yeah, what do I do? I guess we'll grab... we'll Ultra Ball. We'll discard Headringer and Hex. And then we'll grab a Zubat. Because now we can play Golbat next turn. We can play AZ. Pick up Crobat maybe. A lot of options here. That Silent Lab putting in work, allowing us to hit that Carbink. And what does our opponent have? Do they have the break? We see a Pokemon Center Lady. Wow. That's pretty annoying. We do still have the Silent Lab, though. They are at 70, though, so we are going to go take the knockout with the Crobat and Quaking Punch. We didn't see an energy out of our opponent either, so they are just not hitting what they need to. We will play AZ, pick up the Crobat. Seems like a very good use of AZ right now. We could actually put damage on to Lucario. We'll put 30 on Lucario. Now Lucario is close to a knockout. We'll Quaking Punch for the knockout. And we've taken only 2 prizes, but we're in such a commanding position now. Our opponent can't play item cards. What do? They can't attack with this Lucario, so they didn't really have a good option of what to send up. Especially since we can keep playing bats down. And let's see. So I think we'll just AZ again this turn. Might seem kind of odd, but I think it's fairly strong at this point. We don't really want to get rid of stuff on our hands. We don't really need to play anything down otherwise, other than bats anyway. This way, yeah, so we only need to hit 30, so we'll hit 30. We'll take a knockout on Lucario. We'll see what we can get out of our prizes here. We get Lightning and Ultra Ball. We bring up Carbink. We put down another Cool. Let's we'll put down another bat. I guess we'll just hit the active. We did get an energy, which, yeah, I don't really need to use. I'm just going to start playing some cards so we're a little more end-proof. I don't really want to get hit by an end, have that be a problem. Put a muscle band on Crobat, I guess. and maybe I should have put it on this Golbat, actually. That's okay. We'll just Quaking Punch. I definitely have the option of playing down more, but yeah, I'm not too concerned at this point. We'll see. Does our opponent have anything? Do they have an end? Stadium? Way to bump the Stadium. Carbink Break. I mean, none of those would be too bad. They could... Oh, they just pass. And that gives us a huge opening. We're going to be able to take a knockout on the Carbink. And then we're going to... No matter what they send up, we can just retreat into Manectric-EX and take the win. Actually, well, almost. More or less, we can take the win. Yeah, we just see the Shaymin come up. We're going to be able to retreat manually into the Manectric-EX, and we're going to Assault Laser for 240 damage is what we would have done if our opponent didn't concede. And you can just see how strong this deck can be. We took a bunch of prizes there with the bats, and yeah, I mean, the item lock is strong, Seismitoad-EX is strong, Manectric-EX, we got a little taste of that as well. Even against our weakness with fighting, we were able to handle it, and yeah, I think we might see a little more of this deck in the channel, maybe in other forms, we'll see, but I really do enjoy this deck a lot. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time.